You tour a lot too, man. That's hard with 3 kids, huh?
It is. We've dialed it back a little bit, and the I had a really nice business model going back in Texas where, you know, I was making my records down there with Ray Benson, Sleep at the Wheel. I think I made 8 records
What's
with Ray.
good about that?
Oh man, yeah, Ray, Sugar Ray Benson.
I know Ray very well.
I mean, he taught me the ropes, and I tell people I was like,
I was opening for Ray in '74.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Ray,
several semesters ago.
Several semesters ago. But we just had a cool thing going on, playing Texas,
Mm-hmm.
And surrounding states, and little West Coast, little Midwest, head out a little Southeast every now and then, and just had a good business model. And then we put out this album called Real Good Time. And I had a song on there that I wrote for Lane Frost's mama.
Mm.
And it was a special song for me because
Lane Frost, great bull rider for those that don't know.
Yeah. And Lane
got killed up at Cheyenne.
Got killed up in Cheyenne 26 years ago, something like that. But the song I wrote for him is called July in Cheyenne, and it's a special song to me personally because it's the first song I wrote after my wife and I lost our little girl, Julia Grace. We lost Julia shortly after she was born, and that's about 6 years ago. Man, I was kind of in a funk. I was really having trouble on stage because I was homesick and heartbroken. I felt like I needed to be there for my wife, and here I am on stage playing to folks having fun. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
And but Lane's mama said something that really got me refocused on the bigger picture, got me refocused on my faith, and kind of got me moving forward again. And she said that Lane was a world champion bull rider, but that wasn't his greatest achievement. She said Lane's greatest achievement came a year before he died when he asked Jesus to be his Lord and Savior. And when I heard his mama say that, I thought, that's right. That's what it's all about. And I wrote that song, July in Cheyenne, and I just did a little demo just to send it to her. And that was on our Real Good Time album, and that song kind of went viral. And it charted top 10 on Billboard. And I thought, hey, we just put out a song. We put out an independent album that charted top 10. How about that? Well, man, things started picking up. And then our next album, The Underdog, became the first independent album to chart #1. And gosh, we had an exhibit at the Country Music Hall of Fame, and then our next one, Vaquero, which means cowboy, it's sold nearly, double of what the Underdog did. So it's been interesting. It's this spring will be 20 years since I started my very first album, and so to be 20 years deep into my career, and I mean I have people telling me I'm up and coming, new and refreshing all the time. But I was like, calling me new and refreshing, that makes an old girl feel good. So
how old are you?
I'm 40.
Yeah.
So I'm having fun.
Ronnie was 38 when we met.
Really?
Yeah, I was 36, so we just got started at that point.
Yeah, we're just late bloomers.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, my daddy.
And look what you've learned along the way.
Oh, I tell people when it's not just music, it's the business. And I always refer to it as like a hamburger joint. You can't run a hamburger joint if you don't know how to flip patties, make fries, bust a table, wait tables, balance out the check, the register at the end of the night. But, it's about 20 years ago, I had an opportunity to sing a few songs for a big record executive here in town. And I sang him some songs, and he did not like what he heard. And, man, kind of stomped on my dreams a little bit. And I remember I flew back home to Amarillo, and the next morning I was drinking coffee with my dad at the table, and he said, hey, tell me about it. How'd the meeting go? I said, it didn't go too good. I said, he didn't like my singing. I said, he didn't like my songs. He told me I didn't have what it took. He told me that if I practiced my songwriting, that maybe someday I could write a song for a star. And I said, my dad said, don't listen to those dudes. That's the same thing they said to Willie for all those years. And I was like, yeah, me and Willie, yeah. And then my dad said, Willie finally made it when he was about 45. And I went, whoa. And I said, Daddy, are you telling me I'm going to have to grind it out for the next 25 years if I'm going to make it? And I remember he smiled and he took a sip of coffee and he said, yep, if you want it bad enough. And that just changed my whole way of looking at it. And I realized I love songwriting. I love country music. And, everybody's been telling me for a long time that I'm a regional act. I'm Texas this, it's not going to work there. And I tell them, I said, do you think the Beach Boys were big in Kansas? I was like, do they have a beach in Kansas? Music can be something that's universal, regardless of the flavors. I mean, Fogerty had that swamp Louisiana thing going on. Wasn't from Louisiana, and we loved it, no matter where you were from. I mean, those boys from over there in England did pretty good. Those Beatles.
I don't think it. Honestly,
Flavor.
I mean, at some point, you're as big as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Even if you're the Beatles.
Yeah.
There's a peak.
Yeah.
That everybody has.
Yeah.
And even for Ronnie and I weren't as big as Garth.
Yeah.
It's like, but we had a huge career.
Yeah.
It's like at some point, I don't know. We worked real hard. We always wanted to try and do something better. And I know you're built that. Most all of us are like that. You always try to do something that's bigger and better than the last thing you did. But at the same time, look what we get to do, man.
Oh.
To make a living doing what we're doing is just, I'm sure like me, you've probably worked a lot harder for a lot less money.
Oh, yeah. It's like when people ask me to sign a guitar for charity or come sing a few songs for charity, and they thank me, and I'm like, well, you didn't ask me to dig a ditch. This was easy and it was fun.
Yeah.
And, I never compare myself to other artists. I focus on myself. And at the end of the day, I tell people music's not an industry. It's a family business. And that's how I've been taking care of my wife and my kids. And, somebody at some record label can't tell me I'm not a country artist because I am.
Yeah.
And I tell all independent artists out there, I was like, if you want it, go get it. And, I'm not just an artist. I mean, I am the president of my record label. I am a record executive now. As Jerry Clower would say, record executive. But I own my own publishing company, and dang, my little record label, we call it Big Label Records, because people are always like, have you signed to a big label? And I got tired of saying no, so I just said, we're going to call it Big Label Records. But we had our first top 10, and we got a new single.
I've heard it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a, it's got kind of, when I first started listening to it, I went, that's country, and it's got that,
What is this?
the
A
thing
little
you
blues
do, a little.
thing?
I told one of my guys, I said, it honestly sounds kind of like a old Lionel Richie vibe almost.
Yeah.
With some straight mixed in.
Yeah, it's funny. So when we recorded the song, we were messing around with it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it was coming out not me. It went the wrong direction. And I said, this is not, let me go home tonight. Let me think about this. And I went home and I was thinking about it because I was like, man, this song has a cool vibe. When it's just me playing it on a guitar, I like it. But when we had everybody jump in on it, it turned into something real poppy. And I was listening to the Stones and that song, I Miss You. Ooh, ooh,
Sure.
I mean, it had that, and I missed you. Boom, don't. And that's where I was like, man, we're going to kind of give it that vibe. Do. That Keith Richards Telly twang is timeless. And I was like, I can't help it that when, I could sing.
We've stole lots of Stones lyrics.
Yeah. It's timeless stuff.
Is.
And the other thing too is I tell people, I was like, once you hear me talk and sing, I can sing a George Michael song and make it sound like George Jones. That's just, it's where it's what happens when you live in Buffalo Gap, Texas. But it's a cool vibe. It goes over great live, and your music's a testament to that. It's like, when my wife and I went to see y'all in Vegas, songs are huge. And one thing that country music has gotten away from, I know things are changing and this and that, but I miss those signature licks. those, you know, I mean, I tell you what, I love George Strait. I'm telling you what, Amarillo by Morning is just another song without that fiddle, you know? I mean, it's that Johnny Gimbel fiddle on Amarillo by Morning is what makes Amarillo by Morning special. You know, I think Cliff Jansky put out Amarillo by Morning in the mid-'70s. Didn't have that fiddle, you know? I mean, it's...
I love that story of George Jones was at some New York live telecast, and the opening lick on "She Thinks I Still Care." But this announcer goes, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, George Jones, and She Thinks I Still Care." and the fiddle player, the steel player, just sitting there looking at his steel, and because he was used to "She Thinks I Still Care,"
Yeah.
but he goes, "She thinks I still care." And he's just looking at the steel going, "How does it go?"
That's hilarious.
Finally, he's like, he just crippled through it.
Yeah, just stumbled his way through it. Oh, man. I mean, it's those old, it's that, you know, it's important that, you know, everybody talks about change is good. Well, guess what? Change is only good if it's good change. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And it's important. I mean, what makes country music country music? And I'm not one that bashes any other artist, because I have to believe in my mind that they're just trying to make a living for their families. You know, I say, you know, it's kind of like ice cream. Wouldn't it be boring if there was only one flavor of ice cream? But I think it's important for me as a country music artist that I still pay tribute to the legends. And the legends became legends because they did what they do regardless of what other people thought they should do. They stayed true to their brand. I always say, we don't chase. Here's my manifesto. Let's see if I can tell you without messing it up. We don't chase phases, stages, or flavors of the month. We stay true to our brand. We work hard. We ride a horse named Hustle. And that's what we've always done. We do our thing. And it's like, you know, people say, well, what if Run Wild Horses just completely tanks? And I said, well, we put 3 top 10 albums out without getting any radio play. I guess I just keep making country music. But I say that jokingly, and I also tell that to every program director in the nation, that they can depend on me. I'm going to keep coming to town for them. If they're going to invest their time, their airplay on me, I'm going to take care of them. And I can make that call because I'm not just the artist. I own the label. I own the publishing company. I mean, my wife does, but you know.
But you get to work for her.
I work for her. I say this jokingly, but it's the truth. I tell people every night, thank y'all for coming out. You know, they think that I'm fixing to say something just miraculous, like I'm raising money for orphan children. And I'm like, thank y'all for coming out. I said, just need y'all to know that all the proceeds from tonight's show, ticket sales, merchandise, record sales, all the proceeds tonight. And I pause. I say, went straight into my wife's purse. Thank y'all for coming out. You know, but it's the truth, you know, and I think that they like the fact that they know that when they're supporting my music, they're supporting my wife and kids. And gosh, my wife's got like 100,000 people on Instagram following her. And she's, awesome. You know, here I'm out here hustling it, trying to get followers. She's just being herself. I mean, she's a star. I mean, cool. People, they like me because they love her. It's like, well, we love her, so we're gonna have to like her. You know, but it sure has been fun. I think being 40, you know, I mean, I'm glad I got my daddy's genetics. I still look like I could be 30, you know. I think probably in 5 years it's gonna hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm gonna go from looking 30 to looking 60. But to be this far into my career, like, I really have a great appreciation for just how rare and special moments like having a top 10 are, because there's so many talented artists out there. But it took me 20 years to get my foot in the door, so they're going to have a real hard time keeping me out of that door now.
Leave it open.
Well, yeah, we're going to.
Just leave the door
If
open.
you shut the door, we're just going to pull those pins on the hinges. So we're coming in, you know, and that's our goal. We putting a little cowboy back in country music, and there's plenty of room for everybody. So.
Well, congrats, man.
Well, thank you.
Glad you stopped by.
Well, I'm a big fan, and you know, you try to maybe keep Ronnie out of trouble, and maybe is that a lost cause?
I don't even know where he's at.
Yeah.
There's no telling what he's doing.
Y'all show was amazing.
Oh,
I mean, we saw a lot of shows in Vegas that week, and y'all were the number one thing. We had so much fun.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well done. Yes, sir.
Keep up the good work, pal.
I'm gonna try.
All right.
Yes, sir.